Hello, this is George Ball with George's Answer Line, the 24/7 advisory service for the Barack Obama administration. This is George speaking. Hello, Mr. President. So nice to hear from you. How can I help you today? Yes, it is. It's just a couple days before the election. You're worried that the election, the campaign is much closer than you expected? Well, that's true. Very true. And the Romney campaign's portrayal of you're not keeping your promises is hurting you in the polls, and you want me to help you overcome that. Well, that's great. Yes, I have kept the Barack Obama Promises Kept binder. Yes, I have. So we can go through that, and we'll find some promises you've kept, and we can help you win this election. All right, hold 1 second. President Obama, I have some bad news for you. The binder is empty. I've not added a single thing to this binder. It's totally empty. All right, let's go through it. Make sure I haven't missed something. Hold 1 second. Let me get to my notes. All right, let's go through it. What promises do you think you've kept, Mr. President? The budget. Well, no, I'm sorry. I don't think that's true, Mr. President. You promised to cut the budget in half by this time, and instead you've increased it by over $5 trillion. It's over $16 trillion now, and you even ignored your bipartisan debt committee on a way to handle it. Okay, let's scratch that. The stimulus and how it was going to keep employment under control. Well, that didn't work either, Mr. President. I'm sorry I can't put that into your promises binder. You promised that if we pass the $831 billion stimulus, the largest in the history of the world, that unemployment would never get over 8%. Yeah, you remember that. Well, quite frankly, until just recently, it's always been over 8%. Besides that, it's now just barely below it. And if you include everybody who's underemployed and stopped looking for work, it's closer to 14 or 15%. So let's move on. Healthcare. No, I'm sorry, I can't add that to your binder either. You know, in the binder, you promised a lower cost, but yet the costs are higher. You promised people could keep their existing insurance, and that we'd have a whole new wonderful healthcare policy for everybody. But you know what's happening is employers with under 50 people are not adding people on because they don't want to have full-time employees. And bigger companies are keeping everybody at part-time instead of full-time so they don't have to add insurance. And insurance companies are thinking about going out of business. It's a mess. It's not working. Okay, let's go to energy. Oh, you're proud of your energy policy, okay? And you've promised an all-above energy plan. Well, I don't think that's happened, Mr. President. I think you're the most anti-coal, anti-drilling administration in the history of our country. You appointed an energy secretary who wants us to have $10 gasoline like Europe does, so we'll stop using oil. And he wants coal utilities to go bankrupt. I don't see how that's an all-the-above energy policy. So let's just move on. There are two for you. Guantanamo and comprehensive immigration reform. Yes, you have talked about that. Now, I'm sorry, I think you're misunderstanding the promises binder. It's not about talking about things. It's about doing things, actually achieving things. And you talked about them, but you never introduced a comprehensive immigration policy. And you didn't do anything about Guantanamo. I think you saw bad polling and just kind of dropped it. But saying it's just not, it still doesn't count. I mean, let me give you an example. Let's say the Nobel Peace Prize. Let's say that committee got together and said, we'll give this Peace Prize not to someone who actually helped achieve peace, but someone who talked about helping to achieving peace, but had never actually done it. Now, wouldn't it be absurd if they gave a Nobel Peace Prize to such a person? That's what I'm talking about. Well, I'm glad we're on the same ticket. There you go. Now you understand. Yes. Okay, let me look through my notes here. What else? Oh, here's one just out of this we could put in real easy. Have you stopped smoking? We can't add that one. Okay? All right. Okay, here's one for you. Have you increased bipartisanship? Yeah, I agree. I mean, you passed health care without a single Republican vote on it, and they didn't even get to read it ahead of time. You even ignored your bipartisan budget committee and how to handle the budget deficit. There's nothing bipartisan about it. But you say you've brought people together like you promised. I don't think so. Remember, you used to say there was no red state, no blue state, just a purple state, and how we were going to just bring everybody together because that's what we needed. Well, I've never seen in my lifetime a country is divided by race, gender, ethnicity, and income as we've got at the moment. And that's really based on your own style of division. You're kind of the Vegematic of politics because you're just slicing and dicing until everything's divided. You know, we have the most diverse country ever, and we cannot have policies which worry about the hyphens that divide us as opposed to simply saying we're all Americans. So I just can't add that one. Middle East peace. You want me to add Middle East peace to the promises binder? Well, you know, it's really not happening. The whole Middle East is in turmoil. Look at Libya and Lebanon and Egypt. It's a mess. And Israel is not nearly as safe as it used to be. And one of your promises, Commander-in-Chief, is to protect us. I don't think you did that in Benghazi, or at least those representing you did not. And you haven't even come clean on what's happened there. So let's skip the Middle East. But you provided change. You promised change and you provided it. Well, I've got to disagree. You promised hope and change. There's a difference. There's an and there, not an or. If you said hope or change, sure, I could agree. We could put change in there. The change, you know, you've made our economy less productive. You've mortgaged the future generations. You've added our budget deficits. You've turned our whole healthcare system topsy-turvy while unnecessary. You provided lots of changes. But there's no hope. And you said hope and change. People are hopeless, not hopeful at this point. And so I'm sorry, I can't add that one. I just can't. So you know what? Let me just keep looking through my notes here, see what else we have. We're out of luck. There's nothing to add. All right. Let me look in the binder one more time. Maybe I missed something. Hold 1 second. Mr. President, there is a pink slip of paper in here that I missed. It's kind of tucked in. You can barely see it, but it's tucked down there. And it's got some writing on it. It looks like my notes on it. Let me get it out and read it. This could give us some hope. See if we can go back in time here. Remember February 2009 on the Today Show with Matt Lauer? Remember that? And you've spoken about fixing the economy and the budget deficit in 3 years. And here's what you said. If I don't have this done in 3 years, then there's going to be a one-term president. There we go. That's how we get a promise into your promise binder. If you lose the election on Tuesday, we can put that promise in there because it's clearly you haven't fixed the economy. And you promised there'd be a one-term presidency if you didn't fix it. So there you go, bingo. So what I would suggest, here's my advice from George's Answer Line. Go out in the last hours of the campaign here and tell people to vote for Mitt Romney so that you can have kept at least one promise in your administration. You don't want to do that. Keeping promises is not really that important to you. All right? Well, there's nothing else I can do. Whether you try or not, if you lose on November 6th, I will put this in your promises kept binder. Have a very nice day. Thank you, Mr. President.